Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Brandon Campbell, and I just want to welcome y'all to learning a little bit about what it's like to change your life and from being out of control to in control. So, welcome to L3. Love God, love people, and one of the ones that I think is the hardest out of those three L's is to actually live like you mean it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about out of our control. Out of control. What is out of control? Is it raging along the freeway? Is it yelling? I have kids. Is it me yelling at my kids? My wife? What does out of control look like? Am I a workaholic? Am I can't put my stuff together in a line? So we're going to go over a couple things tonight that will establish what out of control is and how that looks spiritually in our lives. Robots. Are you a robot? Robot. I'm not. I used to be, though. One of the worst things my dad ever told me, he said, when I was growing up, he said, if you suck at anything, don't ever suck at working. So I never sucked at working, but I became a workaholic. And I was non-emotional, and I worked a lot, and it put me into a very robotic state of mind. So robots are a machine, especially one programmable by a computer, capable of carrying out a complex series of actions automatically. You ever been driving to a place and you drove to it over and over and over and over, and then the next time you realized you just drove there and you were texting and you can do all kinds of stuff? It's because you programmed yourself to know where you're going. If you go to the same job every single day, your brain automatically programs itself robotically. A robot can be guided by an external control device, or the control may be embedded within. Think about your subconscious. Your subconscious memorizes over 30,000 images a day. That's a big computer. A day. And then 30,000 tomorrow. So, things that are not robots. God. God isn't a robot. People are not robots. Both of these cannot be programmed or controlled. In the beginning of Genesis, God talks about giving man dominion over the plants, the seas, the trees, to go out and name all the different kinds of things. But he never gave man control or dominion over people. Never talked about it in the Bible. A life working to control either of these, God, I need this right now, or putting that control on somebody else, of these entities will always lead to inner turmoil and eventually death of the relationship. When I'm always asking God to do stuff for me, I stop letting God do stuff for me because I need him to do stuff for me. But when I sit back and I realize that God is going to come in his time and that he's the one who created all this beauty around me, it gives me a moment to step back out of the control that I think that I have. Matthew, subtitle, we are not called to control, but to serve. Matthew 25 through 28. It says, Jesus called together and said, you know the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over him. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Key words there. Be the servant, not the one being served. Right? Jesus came to do the serving, not to be served. Yes, he was the Messiah. Yes, he has apostles. But if you look out throughout everything in the course of the life of Jesus, all he did was serve. Even giving up his own life so that we may have a gateway to be able to speak to God and take all of our iniquities and cover them in his own blood. Matthew 5:44 through 48. But I tell you, love your enemies. Love my enemies. Sounds like a command. Love your enemies and pray for those who pray for the people that persecute me. Wow, God, this is good. That you may be children of your Father in heaven. If I love my enemies and love those that persecute me, I can be a child of my Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good and sends rain on the righteousness and the unrighteousness. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So, perfect in the Greek word is called teleos, having reached its end, complete and perfect. So this life that we have is kind of like a practice to get to the life that we want with our Heavenly Father. And being a good servant is a long-lasting thing. Following and having forgiveness and things like that, for people, is something that our Father really looks on. When it says, if you just love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? That means, if you're not going outside of your regular scheduled boundaries of saying hi to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your kids, and not looking towards your neighbor, right? Isn't everybody doing that? What sets you apart, out of the robotic state of just doing the simple things that you do to just try to make it through the day? Usage. Teleos. Perfect, complete in all its parts, full grown, of full age, specially of the completeness of the Christian character, mature from going through the necessary stages to reach the end goal, i.e., developed into a consummating completion by fulfilling the necessary process. Because to try to be perfect, even though we have sin, it takes a process. It takes ups, it takes downs, it takes growth, it takes tension. We're not ever just going to be perfect. But we can strive to follow in his footsteps like Jesus, just like the example that's set before us in the Word. The root tel means reaching its end. It is well illustrated with the old pirate's telescope unfolding out one stage at a time to function at full strength, capacity, and effectiveness. So if I'm looking through the telescope just through the first part, I can only see a little bit. But when I extend it out and I have multiple lenses to look through, I'm able to see a bigger picture. If I'm only looking at myself and my surroundings, I can only see a small sample of what things are. So over the next couple minutes, take 5 minutes out to journal about what is it in your life that you need to give up being robotic about, and how to reach out to be a servant for others.